there's a lot to get to today. And again, we're always looking forward on a Tuesday to talk to Sirianni, Ron Jaworski, Elliot Shore-Parks, and of course you at 215-592-9494. So first and foremost, obviously, curious what you're feeling and thinking about the Birds as they, it's the highest time this year for this team where we feel better than we have, obviously. And, we got a call yesterday from, I forget who it was, might have been O.G. Wade. It was one of our great callers who had referenced that he felt like the Eagles are finally starting to wash away the stink from last year. And I agree with that. I mean, with the way this season started, it felt like a continuation of last year. And with 3 games in a row under their belts as W's, that's a big deal. We don't want to lose sight of that. We want to lean into that. I mean, I had mentioned yesterday they might only need to win 4 more games the rest of the year to make the playoffs. I mean, when you're at 5 and you might need to only get to 9. I mean, literally, the whole rest of the year might need to only win 4 more games. Now, hopefully they win more than that. Hopefully they cruise to the playoffs. Hopefully they win the division. But the whole team is on the line today, and you can weigh in about how you feel about the Birds at 215-592-9494. So, too, obviously, John is the quarterback. We've talked many times, many times as a show. There's no 2 individuals in Philly sports that get discussed more than the quarterback of the Eagles and the coach of the Eagles. I mean, it is what it is. And this is Hurts' time. Like it was Donovan's time, like it was Carson's time, like it was Randall's time. This is Jalen's time, for good or bad. And we've seen a lot of good and we've seen a lot of bad. And so today we ask you at 215-592-9494 where you stand right now on Jalen Hurts. Knowing all that we know, knowing all that we've seen. I will tell you this, John. I was surprised by the reaction of some yesterday who seemed to just wash away the negatives over the last year and a half and just focus on a great game of football by him. And it was a great game. He played a fantastic football game, and I was thrilled to see it. I was surprised how quick people were, maybe not shocked because I guess I've seen it before, but perplexed by I'm just going to crumple up the piece of paper that's got my list of these concerns over the last year and a half. Boom. That goes in the trash can, and I'm just going to focus on what I saw for 3 hours. And I find that weird.
No, your list of concerns was much lengthier than my list of concerns.
That's for darn sure, yeah.
And I think than many people's list of concerns. And so that, I think, is what you're referring to. I'm a little bit
more
here.
on the extreme. I'll say I'm more on the extreme end, but based on the conversation as recently as last Thursday and Friday on our show, from a lot of callers, there were a lot of people really concerned. Let me give you an example of one that surprises me. So Seth Joyner, and we'll play this audio, coming up in the next hour or so. Seth during the game, I believe it was either late first or early second quarter, Seth had a tweet where, matter of fact, it was second quarter. Seth had a tweet where he talking specifically about Jalen, and he ended it with hashtag highly concerned. Like 2 hours later, he's got him, based on what he said to us on the show yesterday, as the long-term, no doubt, franchise quarterback of the Eagles. See, that doesn't compute for me, John. How can you be in the second quarter, hashtag highly concerned, and you be on our show yesterday, pom-poms like this is the guy for years to come? I don't get that.
The
I really
disconnect that I don't understand, I guess, for you.
Okay.
Is you seem to think that like the one game means the one performance means more or less. Like I think we have a sliding scale here about like the value of one game. Does that lift your impression of a player or not? The expectations really do matter here. My expectations for Jalen Hurts I want him to get back to where I saw him look like number 1 or number 2 in the NFL. Like that, there was a pantheon. Him, Mahomes at the time. Maybe it was Burrow. I'm not sure if he was even up there.
Can I just say one thing real quick? Like from my standpoint, I'll happily take a top 7 to 10 quarterback. Like, I don't need him to be top 3 guy as he was 2 years ago. Like, is that my preference? Of course that's my preference. But if he was the 7th to 10th best quarterback in pro football, I'd say sign me up for a long time. Let's saddle up, and hopefully
So that's your baseline, that you don't believe he's the 7th to 10th best quarterback?
I don't.
I do. I believe that he is the 7th to 10th best, that he can move up into that elite pantheon if he continues to play with really just like parsimony, like go out there and preserve the football Like, I see how much it matters to this quarterback.
That's been an improvement. 3 games in a row, that's been a big step.
It's pretty straightforward and basic. Those are things that we don't give him credit for until it goes haywire, until it goes wrong. He had so much on his plate at the beginning of the season that he's now learning to manage. It's different. It's very different than it ever was before. And, it took him, 5 games to get the swing of things. Give him a little bit of leeway
here.
Well,
no, we're going to find out over the span of the whole season. He's the guy. There's no question about that. And I agree with you, John. There's something to be said for the learning curve, and some guys take to it and they start soaring, and some don't. I guess here's the thing. I can understand.
But it does concern me that it feels like it's not just you, Joe. Mm-hmm. I mean, he wasn't playing his best football, and suddenly the discussion was, well, when can we move on? Well, to me is what's so wrong about all of this. Like, I don't want to move on at any point in the near future because I know he's got everything inside of him that we need. I've seen it come out, and I've seen it look like he's the best quarterback in the world.
Hadn't you started thinking about it, though? If he doesn't get his act together in the next year or two, he might be gone, and maybe should be gone?
Look, get his act together. I saw him get his act together. I hear about him getting his act together.
Like
over this bye, I heard about him not taking a break like everyone else did, and he got his act together. I believe it matters to this quarterback, and that matters a lot. I believe this quarterback is physically tough, and he will play through stuff.
There's no question.
That matters a lot, too, because there are quarterbacks who are starting in this league who will never even consider it. Mm-hmm. Now, like old school stuff, like Peyton Manning never missed games. Like I really admire that.
Jalen's tough.
That's old school mentality.
I know.
I think Jalen, raised in that household with his dad coaching football, has that same old school mentality, and I love that. You should love that.
I do.
We should all appreciate that.
I do.
This guy has the stuff that championships are made of, and we saw what it looked like. We saw him in the biggest game of them all, looking like the second best quarterback, maybe the best quarterback of them all. And I know that's in there. I know we can get back to it. I know it just takes the right people bringing it out of them. I don't want to move on. I don't want to consider moving on. That's not on the agenda at any point.
Well, look, I'm curious where everyone listening stands right now on Jalen Hurts. It's great to feel excited about the Eagles again. It really is. I mean, 3 weeks ago, we were really down. 2 weeks ago, they were 3-2, and we were really down. So they're in a much better spot. He obviously played his best game of the season the other day. There's no question about that. Very encouraging to know he played that way. I'm just curious how you net out the last 3.5 years, whatever you want to call it, the last year and a half, the last game. How do you net the whole thing out? For me, I think more about the year and a half and the failures than I do the 60 minutes of football. But I'm not discarding the 60 minutes of football. I want to be clear, guys. I hope he can build on this. Of course I do. We have seen players have some issues, have some struggles in their career. Something happens and they take off, or they, in this case, retake off. If that happens, beautiful. That'd be phenomenal.
Look around the league.
I'm not really expecting it. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to keep it real. Man. I'm going to keep it real today.
Playing this position, the quarterback position, you can look around some of the top teams in the league right now and see quarterbacks who took a while to figure it out.
I know.
Jalen Hurts is so young, comparatively speaking, when you're looking at Baker Mayfield, a guy who was discarded, thrown on the trash heap repeatedly.
Can I say something about Baker Mayfield? I wouldn't want him to be the Eagles starting quarterback.
Okay.
I wouldn't. And he's okay. He's an average quarterback.
Sam Darnold is another quarterback.
I wouldn't want Sam Darnold to be the Eagles quarterback.
But understand, he wasn't good.
I agree with you.
He was actually poor.
He was bad.
He's been shuffled from team to team to team to team to team.
Yeah.
But him playing the quarterback position, you take in information. You learn some things along the way, osmotically.
Yeah.
You have to get reps. You have to be around this game. Jalen has to learn more about football from these coaches and the way that they want it to be played. Now, the coaches are going to be constantly checking with him. Hey, do you like it this way? Do you like it that way? Making sure he's most comfortable. But this is just like with basketball, this is all part of the process, only this process actually has a chance to work.
All right, look, we ask you at 215-592-9494 after that game, and it was a great one, where do you stand on Jalen Hurts now? And for those that have doubted, and maybe significantly doubted, does the one game really turn you around on him, or do the doubts still linger in your mind in a big way? And we'll ask this question, big picture. Do you believe in Jalen Hurts, big picture, for this season and for the long term as the franchise quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles? 215-592-9494. We'll get into a lot of aspects of the team. Brandon Graham with us in studio today. Nick Sirianni on the program. Ron Jaworski on the show. You can be as well. 215-592-9494. Joe DeCamera and John Ritchie. It's 94 WIP.